What do you think of his? Because this is always like a. How do I put it? He's a bit odd.
Oh yeah, he is, isn't he?
Like what I was going to ask about explicitly was the extent to which he uses racial slurs in his films.
Yeah. Oh well, we've both seen most of. I've seen all of them, but you've seen most of Tarantino's films, haven't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Are you a fan?
Yeah, yes, generally. Like, they're fun.
They are fun, yeah. Yeah, they're a bit weird in that. Well, some of them are weird in how some of the subject matter he covers in some of them is so kind of serious, but he manages to still employ his like bombastic style in a kind of like weirdly subtle undercurrent type of way.
Yes.
Where it's there, but it doesn't make the story seem silly. It all works together. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a weird. Like I'm specifically thinking of Django Unchained and Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah.
Where obviously the subject matter is pretty sensitive for both of those films, but he manages to get away with doing his usual wacky stuff in those films and still making you feel kind of the gravitas of the situations.
Yes. What's your favourite Tarantino?
It might be Inglourious Bastards.
Yes, I think your favourite is Inglourious Bastards.
Why did you say that?
It's the impression I have from our conversations.
Oh, because I talk about it a lot.
Yes,
yeah.
That's the one you usually bring up the most.
Yeah, it's the one I felt like. I find it hard to choose because I have like a top 3 of favourite films for him, but it's the one I've rewatched the most. So it's like it must be the one I like the most.
Yeah, so therefore it must be your favourite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I really like Django as well. I think that's a great one. And love the Kill Bills.
Yeah.
They're really good. Are there any of his films you don't like?
Well, so my favourite is Django Unchained.
Yeah, that's a good choice. Yeah.
It's just very cool.
It's very cool, yeah.
That I don't like. I think the only one that didn't really hit for me was The Hateful Eight.
Oh yeah, I don't like that one. Yeah, no.
We've spoken about it before. I've only really watched it once, and I was only
Same.
kind of half watching, so I would probably need to rewatch it to offer like a serious opinion.
Yeah.
But it didn't engross me in the way that like a Tarantino film I would expect it to.
No, nor me. And that was actually the first Tarantino film I ever watched.
Really?
It was, yeah.
Wow.
And it's one of his worst ones, in my opinion.
Wow, that's interesting.
Or at least one of my least favourites, I should say, yeah. Yeah, I know, it's a weird choice to start with, isn't it? But I like Westerns. And
right.
So I thought it looked pretty cool from the marketing, so I thought that would be a fun one to jump into first. But yeah, I didn't really like it very much.
No, like I said, I just didn't find myself interested in what was going on. So it was one of those ones where like I had it on the TV, but I was kind of like cooking at the same time, and someone else was in the room.
Yeah.
But like if it was any other Tarantino film, I imagine I just wouldn't have talked to the other person.
Yeah.
I would have like burnt my food because I was paying attention to the screen.
Yeah.
So it's weird. It's weird that it just didn't land.
Yeah. I don't think that's an uncommon response to it. I don't know how it did critically, but I've heard, plenty of other people say that it's not one of their favourites, in, media commentary spaces at least.
Yeah. What do you think of his... Because this is always like a... How do I put it? He's a bit odd.
Oh yeah, he is, isn't he?
What I was going to ask about explicitly was the extent to which he uses racial slurs in his films.
Yeah. I think I get the sense he might have stopped doing that now, because I don't think he did that at all in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I think the era in which he was doing that a lot, he was like doing it more than anyone else, but like It was just a general thing that was happening in all films back then, or not all, but all films of a certain genre. It was pretty commonplace, so it might have been context dependent largely. Like he might have just been sort of a product of his time, and in the way that he does, like, make everything he does more extreme than everyone else, if you know what I mean.
Yes. Yeah. I know what you mean.
But no, I think the justification I've heard him give for it, specifically with regards to Django, is that like you kind of have to have it in that film because otherwise you're not being authentic to the period of history you're trying to represent.
Yes. I guess the flip side, and I don't necessarily disagree with that. Although Django is the most kind of egregious example for obvious reasons, it also probably the example where it makes most sense because you're showing kind of racial inequality. The flip side is I think his like style of writing and his style of dialogue feels like it trivializes the use of racial slurs, I guess.
I think it does in some of his... Like Pulp Fiction, I think, uses quite a lot of slurs like that, and probably in a bit of a cavalier way, I would guess.
Yes.
Again, like, the thing... Because I'm not really very familiar or remotely familiar with real American culture. Like, I've never been to America, so the only reference point I have for American culture is films and TV.
Yeah.
And it feels like in specifically Pulp Fiction, for example, it feels like he was trying to authentically represent a like lexicon that would exist in the subculture of kind of criminals and stuff that he was showing in that film. That's how it comes across to me, but I don't know if it is or not, or if it's just like he was just doing stuff that he thought sounded kind of like edgy and cool. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, and obviously everyone kind of has their own opinion on it. It's interesting because when I think about it, I just kind of think, like, will we ever use racial slurs in anything we write?
We'll probably use language that seems normal now, but in the future won't be.
Yeah.
Like might in the future be offensive in some way that like we don't even understand how it could be offensive right now.
Yeah.
That could easily happen. Because that's happened to like for every generation of media. That's happened, hasn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Of course.